We're live. Okay. Welcome back to the Athletic Training Podcast. I'm again Chris,
I'm McKenna.
and we survived to do a second episode. Before we introduce our guest, how's your week going?
I can't complain. The work-life balance is great. It is picking up a little bit with softball and baseball starting, but nothing too bearable.
Week's been okay. Just same old baseball. I think our baseball team's not that great.
Y'all have 3 teams?
Yes.
Yeah.
Freshman, JV, and then varsity. Varsity played.
We have 2 JVs.
Oh, JVA, JVB. Oh, that's the greatest. It's the real studs.
Yeah.
Our base. So I was telling you earlier that I didn't know that refs can only work a certain amount of time. Well, they can only work a certain amount of time before they have to start pitching out of pocket or paying out of pocket.
Before it comes overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was the refs were like, we can only work for free for 4 hours. So what do you guys want to do? And the coaches are just like, let's just end it.
It makes our life easier though.
It might have been like 8-2 or something we were losing. Just like, just call it. So we kind of gave you a little glimpse as to what we were doing last week. We are going to be interviewing a spouse of a athletic trainer. Not yet, but soon to be. This is my wife, Lucy.
Hi, thank you all for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming against your will.
Yeah, I don't think you really had an option.
Yeah.
So, as I said earlier, last episode, I'm married. Lucy is my wife, and we have 2 children. And so I thought it would be a pretty interesting conversation to have, talking with someone who's going through it, with their spouse. And I know it's not like official. I'm not there yet, but I will be. And I think that perspective from the other side could be useful.
Yeah.
So if you want to just talk a little bit about yourself before we kind of jump into questions.
Sure. We've been married for 7 years. I'm a pre-K teacher, work full time, work with 22 4-year-olds at work, and then I go home with a 3 and a 4-year-old. I also have my master's degree in elementary education. Yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Yeah. So we moved to San Antonio because you got into grad school.
Right. The agreement was we would move to San Antonio so I could finish school, and then once I finished, it would be Chris's turn to finish school.
And that eventually happened, but
it took a lot of negotiating and
it took a lot of you doing the application for me.
Yeah.
Dang.
I did.
She had applied for you?
Yeah.
Basically, she was just, hey, I already applied. Do you want to?
You don't have a choice now.
Yeah. Well, it's like, hey, do you want to do this before I paid the application fee?
Yeah.
And I was just, sure.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I can genuinely say I wouldn't be in this position, in this chair, in this school if it wasn't for you. I think you've really been a big help and push, and also just a motivating person or thing in my life that's helped me push to get to this level.
Oh, thanks.
Some relationship goals.
No crying here. Talking, and McKenna said a little bit about work-life balance. I feel like that's maybe not a thing. Well, it could be a thing.
It's definitely a thing. It needs to be a thing.
I think it definitely needs to be in there. I think people, they like to, the work-life balance of this place, yada, yada, yada. But I mean, I feel like if somebody's saying, oh, the work-life balance here is great, it's probably not. I'm used, well, you're a unicorn. You're in a perfect spot. You get to go home.
Quite literally, perfect spot. It doesn't get any more perfect than that.
Yeah, seriously.
And so I kind of get it, especially during like playoffs. So unpredictable. Like we almost had a game last night, just out of the blue, because our varsity girls basketball tied 3 ways in district, so they had to do a seeding game. And so I think they started doing all the logistics and referees and all these things, and they're like, you know what, let's just flip a coin. And so that ended up being the case. But yeah, just that like risk, or yeah, just that risk of not really knowing like what your week's gonna look like, or plans or something. And that's something my preceptor said this week, was don't, once playoff time comes, don't get comfortable making plans, because you may have to not do those.
Yeah, I would say playoffs is a little bit more unpredictable, and you don't know where you'll end up at either. So you could win the game on Tuesday and then have to turn around on Thursday and play again, but you really never know.
Can you imagine like Smithson Valley just traveling every week? That's terrible. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome that they won state, but that's a lot.
Football.
Yeah, that's just a lot. Especially during football season. Football season takes a lot, but I have actually kind of like grown to think that spring sucks way more than fall.
What do you think, Lucy? What do you think is better for the household, the spring or the fall?
I think as of now, we're just starting spring. It's been better now than the fall, for sure. And this has been a huge adjustment for us, because Chris started off as a stay-at-home dad with the 2 kids, so they were used to dad 24/7. Like, he knew what this cry meant. He knew what snack to buy, and I was the one who was like, I don't know what this child wants.
Right.
And now it's like, especially during football, the kids go to bed at 7. And so he wouldn't get home till, like, especially if there's an away game, he's not getting home till like 11 or midnight. And then on Saturdays mornings, he would have to go do something like a rehab or a clinic, or I don't know. There's all these different things, right? So the kids technically only see Chris Saturday afternoons and all day Sunday.
Dang.
So it was a huge adjustment for us. And now in the spring, I've noticed it's mainly, as of now, just basketball and baseball just started. There was a little bit of wrestling, but not too much. And so he is home by like 6:30 to 7. So he's able to come, read a book, say goodnight. So they're able to at least get a little glimpse of him versus nothing at all.
Yeah.
So the fall, I tell my family, like, I'm a single mom in the fall. Like, I don't have a husband. My kids don't have a dad. Like, I only see him once or twice a week. And in the spring, at least we're getting him for an hour, maybe.
I don't know. I think it feels longer because we have to work a lot of weekends now. So we get more Saturdays that we have to work than just, all right, I know we're going to be late Friday night. And every other day outside of that, we're out at 6 o'clock or whatever time practice ends.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I think there are longer days, consecutive longer days than football season. I think that's probably why I feel like it's just more tiring. But I think it's also because the workload gets a lot more.
I think there's also bias. I think you enjoy football, and he'll text me and be like, "This basketball game is so boring. I hate baseball." Like, he's saying,
Not Preceptor's rubbing off on me.
Yeah.
but with football, that's his sport. That's what he enjoys. So he never has a complaint with football. But with the other sports, he's just not into it.
Yeah, I can feel that. I'm the same way with I would say probably football and softball. Just two sports that we didn't have growing up. So I never accustomed to it. Like I even went to a university that didn't have football. So I'm just not accustomed. I love watching it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to ruin the joy of watching it by having to cover it all the time.
Right.
So,
Yeah. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Football's not born for me yet.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess I agree with the whole bias thing, but I do feel like I'm more exhausted in the spring than I am in the fall. But it could just be a little bit of both. A little bit of I'm doing more, which I feel like I really am.
Yeah.
And then a little more of I like watching football. I like being there, and I like all the stuff.
Well, we're also in our immersive too, so we have to be there all day, every day, on top of classes. So we probably do have a little bit more on our plate. So I can see that.
A little more actual work than school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we talked about kind of the unpredictability of schedules. Sometimes even in the fall. I mean, there was times where we made plans and I had to kind of back out of those plans because of obligations for school. So how do you handle those events, or like those super long weekdays like a couple days ago?
I definitely had to find a community. Like I had to find, and Chris and I have, our closest family is an hour away. So I had to find people that were closer to us, because we live in a tiny apartment, and then being in the tiny apartment all week long by ourselves with two kids, I don't have any adult interaction, and I was going insane.
Yeah.
And then when he is with us, rightfully so, he's so tired that he doesn't want to do anything, and it's kind of like, well, we're just stuck here at home all over again. So I just started reaching out to like friends and people in our church, like, hey, I'm really struggling, like with feeling lonely, but also like just needing community. And so thankfully there's been people that have been like reaching out, like, hey, come hang out over here. We're going to have a birthday party. Do you want to join us? Or hey, come over for dinner this Tuesday. And then also Chris was the cook of the family. I cook to survive. Okay. I cook to eat because I have to, not because I'm good at it or I enjoy it. But Chris is an amazing cook. And so whenever it was like, are you gonna cook dinner this week? Or like, are you gonna prep stuff for me? And he's like, no, I don't have time for that. I'm like, what are we gonna do? So crockpot meals have been
necessity.
Yeah,
Yes.
seriously. Crockpot meals, reaching out to different people, building relationships have helped me, and also just not relying on a set date. Like I used to ask for his schedule, like, give me your schedule, give me the days that you're working, because this is ridiculous. Like there's no way you're gone this long. And I would get the papers and it's like from morning to night, just
packed.
Yeah. And so I wouldn't even, I remember in the fall, the kids started T-ball. And I remember telling him, like, I really want to ask if you can go to a T-ball game, but I'm not even going to ask because I know you can't go.
Yeah.
So I don't even ask for a schedule anymore. I don't ask what time he's going to be home because I don't want to be disappointed. I just wait for him to enter the door and be surprised and so happy to see him. So yeah, I think that's what I've done to manage.
Yeah. So Chris, how does this make you feel?
Is that your question? I mean,
How does it feel not always being there for the kids now?
it's kind of sad. I feel at times like I'm missing stuff.
Yeah.
And
That's understandable.
I feel like I'm always gone, and yeah, my kids are playing t-ball, and I can't see that. And my kids have some events or whatever at school, and they're getting awards, and I can't be there to see that. And it's like, I understand that it's a little different, because if I mean, I see it at my site. Like, if they need to leave, they'll just leave. The other person's got it. But it's kind of expected for us students to kind of always be there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of had this issue of not being at my clinical site. And I think because for X, Y, and Z reason, either I was sick, my kids were sick, or whatever. And it's a hard conversation to have, especially with like our instructors and program directors, and kind of like, I get it, but it's not a good excuse for you to leave and not be either at your site or at school, because you miss things. You're missing stuff. And even in the fall, I remember always missing things. Like, we had injuries and all these different types and specific ones, or cool injuries, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I missed those opportunities to experience them and to learn from them. That's just like one example, but it's been difficult. I do feel like I've definitely lost some time. And I do enjoy being home. I very much enjoy being home. Even when I'm home now, sometimes I'm like, I have to really fight that urge of, I'm just so tired that I don't want to do anything. And I've easily adopted the thinking of, this is only temporary.
Right.
But only when it comes to not being with my family. But how about when I'm with my family? Like, I have to think the same. Like, this is temporary. Like, this is gonna suck for a little bit. Like, there'll be plenty of more days where I do have energy, and it'll be easier for me to be with my family and kids. So I just kind of have to suck it up, be tired, and spend time with them, because I don't get a whole lot. And especially this last semester, I think it's really like changed and put into perspective. Like, I need to spend time with my family, and no matter if I'm tired or not. And I also think I'm also appreciative of you actually going to some of the games and being there. And like, I know it's difficult for you to deal with the kids, and but one, I know you want to get the kids out of the house and doing something, but two, it's kind of like two birds in one stone. I get to be around my husband and see what he does. My kids can see what he does, and we can kind of like have fun in the process.
Yeah, you can still be that role model that they can look up to, even on the sidelines.
Yeah. And that's something, I had never taken them to an event ever, but one, because I didn't want to be like, oh my gosh, why is my wife here? Like, I didn't want to be embarrassing to him. You know what I mean? I didn't know if I would embarrass him. Like, oh my gosh, why is my wife here watching me? And I'm here with my phone, like taking pictures of him. Just so proud, you know? And so I would refrain from going, but then the kids were just like, where's dad? Where's dad? And they don't make the connection of like, they don't know what he's at work means. Like, what is that? So I ended up taking them like 3 4 weeks ago, I can't remember, to their first basketball game at the high school. And I'm like, this is daddy's work.
Mhm.
This is where he comes. And so now Micah is like,
Just
daddy's
sits in a chair for 3 hours and watches the basketball go up and down the court.
So now Micah knows if I say daddy's at work, he's like, oh, the Bulls, the
Mhm.
basketball. I want to go to the Bulls because that's like their mascot.
Yeah.
And so now they get it. Like they understand. He's just not disappeared somewhere.
Right.
He's out doing something. And they get so excited to like just go somewhere new
Mhm.
and see the sport and see the athletes. So they've really enjoyed that. And I enjoy seeing him out in his element because he's fulfilling his dream. And
Yeah.
it's so cool seeing it come to fruition.
I also think it'll get easier whenever, I wouldn't say easier, more convenient
Yeah.
whenever y'all are able to be at the same school together.
Mm.
Because right now, y'all are all spread out. You could
Yeah.
hop over to one of the kids, like, if they're getting an award or something, you can hop
Yeah.
over real quick and not actually have to leave,
Yeah.
technically. So I think it would be better whenever
I
that
think
works
so
out.
too. I think right now, just because he's a student,
Mhm.
like you have no say, kind of like you have
Yeah.
no credentials, you have nothing. Like
Mhm.
you are here to learn, and it makes sense. It's just rough because he's definitely missed awards. He's definitely missed the T-ball games. Performances at the school. He's missed all of that. But whenever he's no longer, I don't know, at the bottom of the totem pole,
Yeah.
and he has a position, it's like I got to go for an hour and then I can come right back.
Right.
It's not that big of a deal.
Mhm.
And like I said, that was still a huge adjustment for us too, because when Chris was a stay-at-home dad, like I said, it was just so convenient to have him attend all the things. And since I'm the one working, it's like I'm only allotted a certain amount of days to miss. And then after that, I don't get paid.
Mhm.
So it's like I would tell him, I'm sorry, like you have to go with the kid that's sick, or
Mhm.
you have to take him to the doctor. And there was one day I remember him telling me, my professor said, you're just going to have to accept the fact that you cannot go to work. And I have to.
It's so funny. I just know what professor it is, and I
I'm
can
not
hear
gonna
her
call
voice
anybody
saying
out.
that. Yeah.
You might have even been there.
I can just hear the voice.
Yeah. And that was a huge wake up call for me. Like, oh, okay, like I gotta figure this out on my own. I
Mhm.
can't ask him anymore, which was kind of rough for me, and it kind of sad a little bit because it's like this is my partner, this is
Yeah.
who I should rely on no matter what. And in this season of life, it's not like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it's pretty similar for my girlfriend too.
Yeah.
Like I was always gone, but on top of school, my clinical side, I was also a GA for the women's basketball team here at the university. So if I wasn't at my clinical or here at school, I had practice to go to.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then on top, like I didn't want to disrespect her whenever I got home and be like, "Oh, I'm going straight to bed." Like I still wanted to fulfill her emotional and physical needs
Yeah.
and mentally because she came here willingly. She didn't have to move with me. She chose to move with me, came here,
Yeah.
and yeah, she took a huge step out of her comfort zone to come accommodate what I wanted to do with my life. So I get it.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's
Yeah.
only temporary, like Chris said.
For sure.
I tell myself that every day. Every day.
Yeah. I mean,
Getting home at 11 o'clock at night from track meets and then
that was me last
having to
minute.
wake up in, I don't know, 5 hours to
Mhm.
get up and do it all over again. It's only temporary. I mean, that's actually my life, but
Shout out to caffeine, man.
yeah, well,
Keep me going.
and so with you being at sporting events and stuff, what have you learned from the sport, or have you gained appreciation of the sports that you've watched?
So I've never been a sports person. I am the most uncoordinated person you'll ever meet. So sports have always been so boring to me. But since I've started to attend, I now notice the difference. Like before, he would say like, "Oh, this basketball team is just not it. Like they're not good," and I'd be like, "Basketball is basketball. What are you talking
No, it's
about?"
not.
I went
Saw it
to a
firsthand.
game. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, and I was like,
Freshman girls basketball.
Oh,
"Get
God.
me out of here!"
Yes. You start to want to claw your eyes out after a while. It's
It was brutal. It was bad.
yeah,
So
no.
I definitely am starting to notice like, oh, these are skills that have been acquired and truly like
Maybe not freshman.
not the freshmen. Because the first game I went to, I saw varsity play. And the next week I went and this is how naive I am with sports. I just thought every week it's the same team playing at the same time. So I went the next week and it was not varsity. It was freshmen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I watching? So yeah, I can definitely appreciate like the practice and the skills it takes to get to that level. I never would have realized that before. And then also just like the amount of people that go out to support and cheer on together is really cool. Amelia and Micah are now be like, yeah, get the ball. Woo!
For both teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? But they're cheering on people that are taking something seriously. Basketball and football are the only games we've ever gone to go see. The next one I would like to take the kids to is baseball
That's a lie.
because I think baseball is the most boring sport ever.
Well, don't take them to softball. Let me just.
Softball games are usually shorter,
They are
and they usually end in mercy rules.
true because they only have to go to what, like 5-6 innings. Actually, yeah, 7 maybe.
15 after 5, or I don't know. There's a rule.
Yeah.
A mercy rule, but there's no mercy rule.
There is.
Is it the runs?
Yeah, I think it's like 10 after 5 or something.
Oh,
like
okay,
that.
then never mind.
Yeah.
Well, that never gets to that level.
Well, we did last semester.
Almost did. Almost did
It was
last
nice.
time. Whatever. But yeah. But you think watching baseball?
I actually enjoy baseball outside of the high school level.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah, I grew appreciation of it after my brother started working for a minor league baseball team up in Washington.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's fun to watch. And so is the MLB, but high school, college sometimes I'll watch the World Series. And but
I've never seen a baseball game. Like, so I think going to one, I would have more appreciation for it. But I would need to go first because right now I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like they take forever and they just swing the bat and it's like, let's go, hit it, and let's keep it moving. Come on. I think that's why I like basketball so much because it's so fast paced and it's like back and forth. And then sometimes they get so aggressive and I don't know. It gets me like pumped.
Yeah.
I like it.
Have you ever watched soccer?
No.
Soccer is actually really interesting to watch too.
Really?
I love covering it.
Clock doesn't stop.
Clock doesn't stop. And if you get two teams together, it's actually a very aggressive game.
Okay.
Yeah. But
maybe that'll be the next one.
They start pushing and shoving and
oh wow.
Yeah, playoffs are about to start for soccer, so I don't know how good the team is over there, but it could be a good game.
I think we're actually like ranked in the state.
Yeah, so that should definitely be your next one. Skip baseball, softball, go to soccer.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Soccer's kind of intense, especially our team. Their coach he's a madman. Like he was not literally killing, but he was really pushing these kids.
Yeah.
And there was so many kids that started in the beginning of the season and then just only the tough survived. And I guess that's effective being that he's ranked in state. But I'm glad that you have an appreciation of sports and stuff now. I mean, if you're in sports, you like sports.
Yeah.
And if you're not around it, then you'll never grow an appreciation for it.
Mhm.
Um, how about, I mean, how about for the profession that I'm in? I mean, I know you did a little bit of it in high school.
Yeah.
But have you seen, I mean, have you, based off of the experience that I've told you or, and you seen, like, do you see a difference in what you thought athletic training was? Because I feel like student athletic trainers in high school
Yeah.
may not always know what's going on or how much we do. So I mean, after seeing us down there actually treating people and helping people and going out there and all that stuff, like, have you kind of grown a more of an appreciation for that? Or
For sure. My eyes have been open. I told Chris, you all are like little mini doctors. Like I genuinely did not know the amount of anatomy that you had to learn and the muscles. And I remember he was explaining the ways something worked. I had complained about something hurting, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying right now. My neck
I don't
hurts,
care,
and
just massage
that's it. Like, I don't know what that is. And he's trying to explain like the mechanisms, and I'm just like, Chris, you are so far beyond where I'm at right now. So yeah, I definitely have a much greater appreciation. And I think it's kind of sad that a lot of people have the same notion or conception as to what ATs are. I remember one time telling him, like, you ready to go get your ice and your water bottles? And he was just like, you really think that's what I do? And I'm like, yeah, you ice them, you give them water, because that's what I did in high school.
Mhm.
And he's like, you don't even know, like, you really don't know what I do. And now I definitely know it's so much more than that. And I think it really came to life whenever he pretty much diagnosed our niece.
Mhm.
Our niece was born with some type of disability. We didn't know what it was, but the way she would walk was like on her tiptoes. She kind of had a limp. And I was like, I think it's maybe like autism, because usually kids on the spectrum, they walk on their tiptoes.
Mhm.
And I'm like, but I don't know. And then Chris started talking about all these different tests to take. And he's like, babe, I tested her. I tested the reflex on this. I tested this muscle. I did this extension, this, I don't know what, like all these technical terms,
Mhm.
right?
Babinski test and Oppenheim test.
Yeah. And he's like, I think she might have a type of palsy. And I'm like, no, there's no way. So fast forward, our niece goes to get seen by a pediatrician, a neurologist, and a developmental specialist, I think. And it turns out they diagnosed her with exactly Chris said she had. And I was like, whoa, you knew that. Like, that is crazy.
Yes.
And so now I'm like, yeah, you're just a doctor. Like, you're like a little mini doctor. You know all these things. And it's so cool to see that you're so much more than just ice and water and
Mhm.
wrapping.
Yeah, a lot of people think that we just give ice and water, but really our profession is a lot more in depth than what it actually is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we even save lives.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in the NFL with Damar Hamlin. ATs were the ones that were the first responders, and ultimately, I mean, they did the CPR to bring him back, and even at the actual site that I'm at now, both ATs that are there have both given life-saving CPR. They've one of the head athletic trainer did CPR on a student that had went to cardiac arrest on the field, and then the assistant did CPR with a teacher that collapsed. He actually had some underlying heart condition that had gone undiagnosed for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe that actual issue was what ultimately caused multiple family members to die as well. So it's pretty cool to see that, and just to kind of know that there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes. It's I think day one was where they gave us like a picture of an iceberg, and on the top it was like giving water, taping ankles, that type of stuff, and then there was underneath the surface there was so much more that we did.
Yeah.
And that couldn't be further. I mean, that it's so true that we do a lot.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. Yeah, and all that stuff that Lucy was saying that was crazy that I was studying. I think that was like during finals of Gen Med 2.
Med, yeah.
We just got drilled with medications and all these different types of conditions that can be wrong with people.
Talking about the in-person clinic, does he ever bring it home?
Yes.
What?
You bringing your work home?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll get frustrated because he'll be like, he tries to turn it around and teach me stuff. Like he'll be like, man, babe, it really hurts right here. I'm going to make up words, my bilateral, whatever, dorsal, blah, blah, blah. Cause this is what it sounds like to me when he's speaking to me. And he's like, I really need you to press here. And he'll tell me a direction, but not up and down. He uses a word that I don't know what it is. And I'm just like, and he gets upset. He's like, not like that. I said you do it like this. And I'm like, here's
not petrissage.
Like, I don't even know what that is. And then I'll just I'll get my elbow and I'll be like, this is what you do.
At that point, it's over.
But also with our family, I've noticed that people now, everybody goes up to him and like, hey, Chris, my knee, I was gardening the other day and now my knee's hurting. Hey,
So
Chris,
annoying.
I was chopping onions or I was peeling potato and now my thumb hurts.
Yeah.
And so he'll be like, take a seat. Let me just look at it real quick. And I was telling him the other day, it's so funny. A lot of it is just like, you just overexerted yourself. Like you're older, you got arthritis, you're not used to being active. But he's so sweet because he'll still entertain them and be like, okay, let me assess you. Let me look at, whatever. So he definitely does bring it home. And our family has embraced him in that, like asking him all these different things and to look at it, look at whatever is wrong with them. And with our kids too, I've noticed anytime anything's wrong with them, if they get hurt, he'll be real quick to like check out, let's see their ankle. He'll like move it up and down and then he'll do like a stretch. He's like, no, you're fine. Go.
Yeah, I have a lot of family members myself that will call and be like, hey, my elbow hurts, my knee hurts, or
I don't know.
I was like, I can't tell you anything over the phone. I was like,
right.
I can tell you some things to see if it hurts to help me get an idea. But unless I have hands-on or being able to look at it, it's really hard to be like, oh, you got this.
And how do you feel though when your family comes to you and like, I have this problem, what is it? Like they expect you to have the answer and provide relief. Like how does that make you feel? Does it overwhelm you, stress you out?
I wouldn't say it stresses me out because it's mainly my mom that will call. So I was like, she raised me, she put up with me for 25 years now. So I was like, the least I can do is at least help her out. So I'll be like, Mom, FaceTime me. And I'm pretty good with anatomy, like really good. So
you feel pretty confident.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely don't struggle in the anatomy portion of any of our classes.
Yeah.
So as long as I can see the area that she's pointing to, I'll be like, this is what you need to work on. Because she does go to the weight room. She will work out every once in a while. And so I can help her, I guess, fix
Right.
the issue that she has. So, I mean, it's good to an extent.
Yeah.
And it helps her in the long run. So, you got to keep
It's
her
good
young.
to know you're useful.
Yeah.
And that you can actually do things and help people. But sometimes it's a little much when they're like dance monkey dance. Like it's just, oh,
Yeah.
I got this pain. What is it? I don't know. Like it's probably because you don't do anything ever.
Yeah. Or it's probably because you hit it on the door.
Yeah.
Right.
You got a bruise.
Oh, don't even tell someone, oh, you need to do some physical therapy. Blah. I did that before for a week and it didn't help anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
You got to
But-
do it for longer than a week. People didn't understand that.
Right.
So being like, so a lot of the times, family members kind of always say, oh, you're like a physical therapist, or oh, you're like a personal trainer. I'm like, those are two completely different things. And no, I'm neither of them.
Yeah.
Do you ever have to like tell people, no, this is what he does. This is what an athletic trainer does.
Mm-hmm.
He's not what you think he does. He is.
Yeah. Definitely. And especially because now that the kids are talking about what you do, like this past week, Amelia's teacher asked me, hey, Amelia says she went to the basketball game to watch her husband play. Your husband plays basketball game? And I was like,
Yup.
no.
Starting point, man.
Dunking.
No, he was working a basketball game. And she was like, what do you mean? Like a ref?
Is he a ref?
Yeah. And so then having to explain, no, he's an athletic trainer, so he helps athletes that get injured. But then also still for some of our family members think he's just a coach. Like he's just a coach on the sideline. And I'm like, no, he's not a coach. But some of the kids call him coach, so it's difficult to explain, especially if you don't have like an inside up close personal view of what it's like. And so I just tell people anytime there's an athlete that's injured or notice that something is bothering them, you're the person they go to. I don't even explain that there's athletic trainers in fire departments or in the military because I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what that is. So I don't talk about it because I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of difficult, I wouldn't say, to try to get a person to understand what exactly we do.
Yeah.
Because they do either think we're a physical therapist or a personal trainer. My go-to is every time a football player gets injured and the people that rush out to them, that's us. That's what we do. I was like, we help people recover and get the best care they can so that they can stay in the sport.
Yeah, I think that's the most common thing I say too.
Yeah.
It's like, do you watch sports on TV? When people get hurt, the people that run out there, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Just because that's kind of the only time that the general population sees athletic trainers in action. And then even when they're down there, they don't know what they're doing. They're just down there and
they think there's just a coach that's checking in on them, making sure they're okay.
Yeah.
And it's there's so much. And I think I've even gone to like explain what it is that we do when we're doing, like when we're down there, like how the process of assessing and evaluating and all these things when somebody is injured. But they're just, it's another language for them. They're not even, they don't even know. They're just like, oh yeah, you just go down there and stretch them. So first of all, it's been great having you here. Thanks. I really appreciate you coming. Before we close out, what advice would you give partners or spouses or anybody who's in a close relationship with somebody who's either studying to be an athletic trainer or somebody who is an athletic trainer? What advice would you give?
I would tell them to embrace a new season of life, that their partner is now you're going to see a different side of your partner that you've never seen before. I had never seen Chris as a student. This is new for me. And so that's very different. And so I would tell them just to be open-minded, that they're gonna have to sacrifice a lot to be really selfless, patient, strong, but most importantly, to be motivating, because you all do a lot and you all are sacrificing a lot too. And if you all don't have the support and the motivation behind you, it's kind of like, what am I doing this for if I have nobody on my side? So I would say to embrace the time that you have, because it's going to be short, it'll be over soon. Rely on people in your community, find friends to hang out with, and just be a shoulder to lean on when your partner is stressed out by professors or by deadlines or by assignments or by preceptors that are not the best. Just to be there to listen and to continue and to encourage.
Thank you.
I would have to
I
agree
think
with that.
on top of that, I mean, you've done all of those things. I've definitely felt the love and appreciation of you just kind of cheering me on while I go and do this crazy thing and chase this crazy dream. I definitely doing it with 2 kids and a wife is extremely difficult, and I think this is the hardest thing that I have ever done in my life. But it's also the most motivating thing that I've ever done in my life. And I think it's because, I mean, there's so much love and pouring out that you've done and cheered me on through everything, that like I can do this. Like it's something that really I feel like I can truly do. And I do get motivated to like and excited to know I can go and truly go and chase this dream, knowing that I have someone that's going to be behind me and I have a village that supports me.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only reason why I'm here, I think.
I would definitely say if you can do this without having kids, go for it. So McKenna, you're doing awesome. Because it just makes things so much more complicated when you have kids, obviously. So if you can get this done before you have kids, I think having a partner and being married is fine. I'm an adult. I could, manage. But with kids, it's different. They don't understand why you can't show up. But yeah, definitely just stay strong and encourage your partner because they need it just as much as we do.
Yeah, I know I would not be here still if it wasn't for my family and loved ones. So
yeah,
it is really hard mentally to go through everything, especially in the math program that we have to go through all the long hours. So we do appreciate y'all.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the both of you all for getting this far and being only 3 months away.
3 months out
from graduation.
Yeah, almost there.
Counting down the days.
Yeah, got to take this registration for the BOCs next week.
Count down.
It's already on my calendar. I'm already getting like.
Are you gonna try and take it early, middle, late?
I don't know.
I was
Maybe
thinking like the 20-ish this area of March.
The end of March for sure.
I was thinking the week after spring break. So that way I have all the spring break.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that's smart.
I might do that. Let me know where you do it.
Learn
where you sign up. What's that?
I said learn from me.
Yeah. So just we'll close out. Just a kind of fun question. What's in your game day playlist?
You know what's crazy? We were just talking about this with some of our students. I want to say earlier this week about our game day playlist. Whenever I was in college, my game day playlist was either country or sad rap. It was very, I don't know.
It was like these emotions that I got.
Rod Wave was like on repeat, and then a lot of just different country artists.
People get down to that. Like they get down to country.
I love country.
And I'm just like, this does nothing. Like,
I love it.
I don't know. Yeah.
especially
yeah.
around a fire late at night. Oh,
Well, see, that's
with all your friends.
different than like listening to music to get you pumped up. Like, but country doesn't do it for me. I
No,
think
I can even lift to country music. It's nice, soothing. I don't know.
I don't know. I think I need loud,
Like EDM stuff.
aggressive. Yeah, I do like EDM. I do like rock. I'm trying to think of like a band.
Just metal, banging, clashing, screaming.
Yeah.
Skrillex.
Ugh.
Yeah, I used to love Skrillex in high
AC/DC.
school. Oh man, I like AC/DC.
Rough.
That's crazy.
I mean, my game day playlist is like a playlist that I kind of listen to every day. So that's you can see Lucy's frustration because it's.
Yeah, I can't
like it.
stand loud things.
Me neither.
I need everything loud.
No.
Stimulates my brain.
Yeah.
Lastly, what is your immersive story of the week?
You can go first this time.
So we have. I feel like I talk. It's another track athlete.
The same one.
No, it's track athlete that last week actually it was like 2 weeks ago. She went down while doing I think she was doing 200s, and she went down screaming in pain and impending sense of doom, and we had to run out there because one of her teammates went out and was like banging on the window saying they needed somebody. And it's like, I mean, we already got trauma in the training room because of all the cardiac arrests. But so she went down, eventually got up. I went out there and asked, started going through history and all this stuff. And she said that she's been dealing with like patellar tendonitis, and then she was feeling like a pinching or a poking. That was her word. She was experiencing a poking pain in the back of her knee, and then it caused her to collapse. She fell and crashed out and all these things. And then so we get into the training room, and she said patellar tendonitis, and then that was kind of we did the whole stuff, and I actually started doing an eval on her, and I'm like, this feels like feels and sounds like a meniscus, and she's got like pinpoint tenderness in the lateral joint line. And
was she just running?
She was just sprinting.
Okay.
And pain on the lateral joint line, and then she's got pain like in the posterior knee. And I did all the tests. I did a Thessaly's, I did a McMurray's, and then what's the other one? Apley's compression, which I don't know if I like doing that a whole lot, but McMurray's and Thessaly's are pretty good. And so got positives on both, actually all three of them. And then I told her, I think I know what you got going on, but let me get a preceptor on it and like be sure, because it's kind of, I don't want to diagnose this or whatever. So my head AT went out there, did the same things, and then said, I think you got a meniscus injury, and I think you need to go see a doctor. Went to the doctor. She came back with a, oh my, what's the word? A myotendinous sprain, and it was just completely different from what we thought. Basically, it was like that area near the periosteum, but before it was still part of that tendon of her hamstring. And we were kind of like asking her, you didn't tell us anything about hamstring pain. You just, like, we found your actual tenderness, and it was in the joint line, and it wasn't even on, it was deep in the posterior joint line of the knee. It wasn't even on a tendon. And so she said that the doctor didn't go off of what she was saying, probably, The doctor was going off of what the hospital said because she ended up going to the urgent care that day. You tell athletes not to go to the urgent care, they're going to go to the urgent care for whatever reason, and they're not going to do anything but hold you out for 2
4 to
weeks
6 weeks.
and put you in a boot for whatever reason. And so, she had that strain, and so it just didn't seem right, and she couldn't run, she couldn't rehab, like she can't do anything, she's in so much pain. And so she went, I think it was like last week, then this whole week we did rehab, and then I think it was Thursday, high school athletes are dumb, by the way, she went out and ran with her friends, knee gave out, collapsed, whole thing. Went to the emergency room. They put her on an immobilizer and crutches that both don't fit her. So now she's complaining about she's not able to wear the knee brace because it doesn't fit her. They give her the wrong size. And then they have crutches that are hurting her armpits. That's for another story. But she's having to go back to the doctor. And I think now they're going to say, she told me that she's going to bring it up that she thinks she has a torn meniscus, so that way he can actually look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my immersive story of the week. High school kids going running when they're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's crazy. My immersive story of the week is a football player, not the smartest people out there. Okay? They were in the weight room, I want to say middle of last week, and this guy comes skipping into the ATR, right? We're like, what's going on? Just thinking that he has a question or something.
What's going on, pal?
Yeah. No. We see this guy, his shoe is off, blood all over his sock. He dropped a 45-pound weight on his big toe.
Nice.
Yeah.
Split it open?
Split it open, evulsed the nail bed. He no longer has a toenail. Might never grow back. We're like, buddy, what in the world? How did you manage to do this? He's like, I don't know. I just dropped it, and it really didn't hurt at the time, but whenever I saw that it was bleeding through my shoe, I thought it was a big deal. I was like, yeah.
Good call, buddy.
It's like, good thing you came in, but yeah, so we had to wrap that up, and then his dad picked him up to take him to the hospital, but come to find out his dad is like head of some department in the hospital on the naval base over there. So it was pretty convenient for them. But yeah, so
just waltz right in.
Yeah.
What?
Just waltz right in.
Yeah, he skipped in. Like,
that's crazy.
It was crazy. We really didn't think anything was wrong with him, and he's like, "Oh, my toe." I was like, yeah, your toe, it's bleeding. Yes.
Yeah, high school football players can be Neanderthals sometimes.
Yes, they're a different breed.
Yeah, I've actually dropped a 45-pound plate on my toe. I got frustrated because we had to do up downs in the weight room, and I threw the plate down, and it just kind of right on my toe. Lost the toenail. Probably broke my toe.
Yeah, his toe was not broken though. It was not. They got X-rays and
Just
everything. It's just
split
split
open.
open.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have a picture. I'll show you after this.
All right. We are all done for the day. Thank you for coming again, honey.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys can join us for the next one. See you.
Bye.